Today I'm going to talk about how to give advice in writing. Of course, you know how to give advice and make suggestions. However, you usually use some more colloquial ways of giving advice. And in academic writing, there are different kind of structures that are more preferable. Well, so let's imagine that your friend has hurt his knee. Yeah. Of course, you would say you should see a doctor, right? If you want to give advice to him. Now, can you think for a moment of as many ways of giving advice as possible, as many as you can think of? Yeah. You can pause the video and write down all the different ways you can say the same thing, right? Because this is not the only way you can give advice in English, right? All right, so pause the video and give as many pieces of advice as possible using different language structures, of course. So, all right, hopefully you have paused the video, you have thought, you have brainstormed the ways how to give advice. So here they are. You can say you need to see a doctor. You might want to see a doctor. You can try asking your doctor's advice. It can be advised that you see a doctor. It can be suggested that you see a doctor. Medical advice should be sought. Medical advice must be sought. Well, these are not the only ones, of course, because we would talk for an hour about all the ways how to give advice. But these are like the most common ones, okay? And what are we having here? If you take a look at every sentence, well, they're very similar, yeah? Suggestions and advice. However, the ways to say that are different, and there are some tiny difference. You don't use the same thing, you don't use different language structures for the same occasion, right? So let's see what we have. So the last four ones, you can see they are passive, okay? These are passive structures, and they are used in a formal setting in the academic writing, and I suggest you use them when you write when you write about your suggestions and advice, when you describe a graph in the end, when you answer the questions in quiz 1, when you write your report, right? So the passive structures like this, they are used in writing. So what we're having here, if you look at these first four sentences, what they have in common is these are modal verbs, yeah? Should, need to, might, can. And these are modal verbs, and you need to remember, you should remember that after a modal verb, well, except for need to and except for need and have to, yeah, need to and have to, you don't use to. You see, you don't say I should, you should to see, yeah, or you should sing, or you should sees, or any other ending in the end of the verb. You don't use that, yeah. It's just a modal verb and a verb without to, without different endings, okay. I made this bold, I shouldn't have, because can is the modal verb, right? Try is the verb after the modal verb. Yeah, you can use them also in writing, but as I said, the passive structures are more common. Myself here. All right, the following two sentences, it can be blah, blah, blah. It can be that. Yeah, it can be past participle, which is passive. Yeah, be and past participle is a passive structure. it can be advised, be suggested, that. And then after that, usually we use a subject and a verb. Yeah. So I really suggest you learn these by heart and you use them in your writing. All right. And the last ones are, again, modal verbs. But in this case, after a modal verb, we have be plus partial, which is passive. First sentence, we have active verb after modal verb, right? And in the last two, there's a passive verb after a modal verb. Yeah, passive. Again, if you look at, for example, be sought. Yeah, what is sought? Sought. Who is smart? Whoever is smart will reply that it's the past participle of the verb seek. Yeah, seek, sought, the third form. Okay, and this is a passive infinitive without to. You see be here. Be is an infinitive. You usually do not use be like in the sentence unless it's a modal verb or will, right? You don't say the book be written. No, you don't say that, right? Say the book is written or was written or whatever has been written, but be is an infinitive. So when you have a passive verb after a modal verb, it should be plus past participle. Okay? Please remember this. I hope you are revising passives. It is a must in the academic writing. All right. So these are the main ways how to give advice and make suggestions. There's some tiny differences between might and should and need to. Yeah, must and should. There's some tiny differences in meaning, right? You can read about it. You can read about the difference between might and should and need to and must. If you don't know, please read about it, because depending what you use, how you say it, the meaning changes. Yeah. All right. Do some exercises on Moodle and ask your teacher if you have any questions. Good luck.